I left Singapore, one of the most efficient countries in the world, for Thailand, where I don't even speak the language. And honestly, it's the best decision I made. Food here is incredible, people are friendly, my cost of living is much lower, and I'm much happier now. So if you're thinking about moving countries too, this is my step-by-step guide of how I moved from Singapore to Thailand, covering topics like managing my finance, getting the right visa, and tips on finding the best apartment for yourself. I will also share with you what I wish I knew earlier, such as how relocation can sometimes feel lonely and how difficult it really is to make friends here in Thailand. So let's go. If you're new to my channel, a quick intro about myself. I'm a Singaporean and I'm married with one kid. And I'm lucky to have worked in Singapore for the last 14 years. I consider myself financially free, with the proceeds of my portfolio funding my lifestyle here in Thailand. But later in this video, I will cover other financing options to consider for such a relocation. I covered my financial journey in the previous video, so do check it out if you haven't seen it. Okay, before I talk about my step-by-step guide, let me address the two biggest questions I've received from all of you. So first question, why leave Singapore at all? Singapore, as I mentioned, has been very kind to me. I grew up there, I studied there, and I was very fortunate to get very high-paying jobs while working in Singapore. And in some sense, Singapore was my comfort zone. I know where to go to eat, I know where to go to the gym, I know where to go and relax. So the main reason why I decided to leave Singapore was I was abruptly laid off from my job. For me to achieve the career progression and the pay increment that I've received, I had to work really hard and dedicate a lot of my time and identity to my workplace. So when I was abruptly laid off, it was a shock to my system because I thought that I was a loyal employee and that I was invaluable to my company. That whole experience made me question if I want to continue working so hard and dedicate so much of my time to my work in the future. The second reason is that I never actually lived outside of Singapore my entire life. I did spend a few months working in both Hong Kong and San Francisco as a secondment, but by and large, I grew up, studied, and worked my entire life in Singapore. And because I was laid off in the worst possible time in this terrible job market, where companies continue to lay off people and have froze hiring, I reckon the competition to interview for the few open roles will be so intense, and the probability of me getting something good is just very minimal. And because my financial situation is quite secure, I decided to sit out this bad job market and try relocating to a new country and try a new life. The second most common question that I've received from you is why Thailand and not Malaysia? So I don't deny that Malaysia is the most obvious choice. It's closest to Singapore, I can come back anytime I want, and the people, the culture, the food is very similar to Singapore, so I already know what to expect. So why Thailand then? Well, again, I have never lived in any country outside of Singapore my entire life. And to me, Malaysia is actually very similar to Singapore. So I thought, why not try something different? But I also don't want to be that adventurous and move to somewhere in Europe or South America. So that's why Thailand to me is a good compromise. It is close enough to Singapore, but the lifestyle, the language, and the food is drastically different from Singapore, so I get to experience a different way of life. That's also the same reason why I chose to settle in Chiang Mai and not Bangkok, because Bangkok also reminds me a lot about Singapore, with its high-rise building, its high traffic, high concentration of people, and high pace of life. Whereas Chiang Mai is a bit more rural, a bit more outskirt, and it allows me to enjoy a lower pace of life. Lastly, while planning to move, I actually did a comparison between the visa options in Malaysia and Thailand, and the Thailand ones are actually more welcoming and more flexible, and I'll share a little bit more about that later. Okay, so let's talk about my relocation plan step by step. I actually split it into two parts: the Singapore exit plan and the Thailand entry plan. I like this framework because it forces me to consider both aspects of my move, leaving Singapore and then entering a new country of Thailand. Mistake number one, not getting your reasons right. Now, I've met a lot of Singaporeans that are also considering the relocation, and many times their reasons are because Singapore is just too expensive, or the pace of life or the stress level in Singapore is just too high. And all of this is valid reasons, but such a thinking is only one-sided, where you're thinking of leaving your problems behind and, for lack of a better word, running away from Singapore. And I personally believe for any major changes in our life, be it changing a job, changing a relationship, or changing a country, it is best when you not only know that you want to run away from something, but you also have something better to run towards too. Because moving to a new country doesn't fix your problem, it just gives you a new environment to face them. Singapore exit plan. Okay, let's start with the most obvious consideration: money and how to finance such a move. If you have ever considered leaving Singapore but can't, I'm guessing the biggest reason is because of money. Singapore job will almost always pay better than any other country, and therefore the opportunity cost of me leaving Singapore is to give up my high-paying job. But in my case, I was already laid off, so I really don't have that much to lose. Even then, I still have to make sure that I have enough funds to fund the lifestyle, not just for me, but my family in Thailand. So I've identified 3 ways to finance my life in Thailand. The first is to work remotely, where I find a Singapore-based job that is willing to pay me a Singapore level of salary, but allow me to work remotely, including here in Thailand. But earlier, I already mentioned that the job market is really tough right now. not a lot of companies are hiring, much less provide a fully remote job. So I didn't explore this option because I just don't want to stress myself and pressure myself just to find a fully remote job. I was previously teaching part-time in NUS as a lecturer, and I was actually flying into Singapore for just one day to work and then flying back to Thailand and spend the rest of the week there. I shared that in another video so you can check it out, but because now I'm a newly father, I decided to take some time away from that part-time job and the flying in and out schedule and spend more time with my family. The second option is to rely on your savings and investment. Because I generally live a frugal lifestyle and I've been investing and saving since 15 years ago when I started working, I have built up a sizable portfolio and I'm confident that it's able to fund my lifestyle here in Thailand. The third way to fund a relocation is to start your own business. So besides moving to Thailand to experience a new life, I saw this layoff and I saw this relocation as an opportunity to actually try starting my own business. After 14 years of working, I have built up enough skills to start my own consulting business, built up enough network and relationships to have a few customers, and also built up enough courage and confidence to start this YouTube channel that you're watching right now. And because I have my own company, that really helped me in the visa application to Thailand as well. And speaking of incorporating a company, that brings us to today's sponsor, Awesome. Awesome is a digital-first corporate service platform that helps founders and digital nomads like myself set up and run companies in Singapore. Awesome handles incorporation, accounting, taxes, and corporate secretary work all in one dashboard with real people supporting you behind the scenes. The best part is that this entire process can be done online through the Awesome app. That's why platforms like Awesome really make a difference, and I can focus on other aspects of my life like moving to Thailand. Awesome is also simple to use because everything happens in just one app. Track your invoices, manage cash flow, tax filing, payroll, and getting real-time insights about your business. Join over 40,000 clients worldwide who are running their business better with Awesome. Most importantly, click on this exclusive link to get 16% off all Awesome services when you register today. Now moving to the second consideration of leaving Singapore, and that is family commitments such as aging parents to take care or kids still having to go to school. In my case, my mom has already passed away, and I'm very fortunate that my dad is still very independent and very healthy. I also had a heart-to-heart talk with him, and he was very supportive of this move. And now that I'm a parent myself, I think that the biggest gift I can give to my children is not money or house or even a trust fund. It is for me to stay healthy and independent so that when I grow old and when my kids grow up, they can move on and just live their life and not feel guilty or feel that I'm a burden. Also, in the case of my dad, I initially told him that I will come back to Singapore often to visit him. But what really happened is that he started to visit me in Thailand and he got more and more excited about each trip. So now he actually tells me, Shao, please don't come back to Singapore. I will come visit you in Thailand instead. So it's also nice that my relocation has also given him an excuse to do a bit more traveling. So yeah, having a heart-to-heart talk with your family before you relocate is very crucial. And who knows, your family might be more supportive than you thought. My third and last consideration of leaving Singapore is, can I come back easily? So if things don't work out well in Thailand, I need to know that I have a backup plan and I can come back to Singapore easily. In my case, all my family are still based in Singapore. My dad still has his HDB, so if anything happens, I can just move into his place with my family. And that's really the benefit of a Singapore passport. When we want to relocate, so many countries are willing to entertain us and offer us long-term visas. But when we want to come back, there's generally no issue. Singapore will still welcome us back even though we live abroad for many years. The other thing is I've also put in effort to ensure that I keep my networks and relationships in the corporate world here in Singapore still warm. So in the case if I ever want to come back and find a job, I still have my network and people to refer me. Next up, Thailand entry plan. Okay, let's move to the more exciting part of how to plan moving to Thailand step by step. My first consideration is of course visa. So based on my own research, to relocate to any country, there are 3 common visas that we can apply for. A retirement visa, an elite golden visa, and a digital nomad visa. Option 1, retirement visa. And this is out of the question for me because this is usually reserved for people at a much higher age. For example, Thailand has a retirement visa, but it is only for people 50 years and above. But what I really don't like about this visa, it is that it is just a 1-year renewable visa. I made sure to avoid such visa because that will mean that every year I will need to spend an entire day going to the ICA equivalent of Thailand and to submit all my paperwork just to renew my visa for 1 more year. So I've met older expats friends who are on this visa, and they told me that if they forget just one paperwork, they will have to cancel the appointment, go home and redo the whole appointment on another day. So the thing I learned about all these immigration officers in Thailand or in Malaysia is that most of them actually require you to turn up in person. It's not like in Singapore where you have the SingPass and you can do most government processes online. Option 2 is the elite or golden visa. This is where you invest a large lump sum of money in that country, and in exchange, the country provides you with a longer term visa, anywhere between 5 to 20 years. For example, Malaysia's golden visa is called Malaysia My Second Home. For the cheapest, lowest tier of that visa, you will need to deposit a minimum of 150,000 US dollars or 190 Singapore dollars into a Malaysian fixed account, and also purchase a property worth at least Malaysian ringgit 600,000 or about 200,000 Singapore dollars. So you can guess it, I also eliminated this option because I consider myself a savvy investor. I don't want to tie up my capital in just a boring fixed deposit or in a property market that I have no interest in investing in. So that led me to choosing my third visa option, which is the digital nomad visa. In Thailand, it is called the Destination Thailand visa. It is a 5-year renewable visa. So once I got it, for the next 5 years, I'm set. I don't need to spend any time going back to the immigration office to renew it. And the best part is its price. It's only 500 Singapore dollars, and I did the entire process online. I didn't even need to visit the Thai embassy in Orchard Road in Singapore. But there's a huge mistake that most Singaporeans have made. Most Singaporeans have applied for this visa and failed to get it because they took the digital nomad visa name too literally. Just because it's a visa for digital nomads and remote worker, that doesn't mean that Thailand will accept anyone who claims that they're just working from home. So for example, if you are a graphic design freelancer and you offer your services on platforms like Facebook Marketplace, Carousel, or Fiverr, that alone is not enough for the Thai immigration office to verify your legitimate income. That's why earlier I mentioned how important it is for me to incorporate my own company where I'm paying myself a salary and I have legitimate invoices of my customer to show the Thai immigration office. Second consideration, finding an apartment in Thailand. Once I had my visa confirmed, the next thing I needed to do is to secure my housing in Thailand. Earlier, I mentioned that I already knew I don't want to stay in Bangkok, I want to stay in Chiang Mai. So the temptation is for me to go straight away to Thailand's equivalent of Property Guru and start searching for the next available condo in Chiang Mai. And because prices of condos are much lower in Chiang Mai, I was very tempted to sign a lease right away. And when I was searching online, I was blown away because many of these condos have way more amenities compared to the condos in Singapore. For example, the condo that I'm staying in right now has a massive gym, a co-working space, and even a private Pilates studio. And this brings me to mistake number 3, don't sign a lease first. Do not move in immediately and commit yourself to a city, a condo, or a lease. I know in Singapore that's what we do, right? We want to rent a place, all we do is just to go online, find a place, do a viewing, and then pay the deposit and sign the lease. But here in Thailand, you actually have options to test it out first. That's because Airbnb is actually legal in Thailand. So I could shortlist a few condos that I like and find them on Airbnb and stay a few days to a few weeks there to just test out and see if I actually like the condo and the environment there. That actually taught me how to observe a few things about Thailand property market before I commit to a lease. First is the real quality of the condos and its amenity. So online, everything looks really good, but there were a few condos that when I actually went to stay in there, a lot of the amenities are really old and worn out. The other thing I had to consider is the mix of tenants in the condo. So in my current condo, it is primarily Korean and Chinese families that are living here. So the whole place is very family friendly and it was very easy for me to make friends because I also speak Mandarin. Actually, thinking back, now that I'm talking to you, I didn't really consider if my condo needed to be near a supermarket or a shopping mall or near public transportation, which is what most Singaporeans would actually consider when picking a location. That's because in Thailand, shopping is very convenient and there will always be supermarkets and shopping malls everywhere. And grocery delivery and food delivery is also very convenient and affordable too. Third and last consideration when moving to Thailand, medical insurance. Okay, so my third biggest consideration is healthcare. Because I'm an expat here in Thailand, I'm not entitled to use the local healthcare. And I'm going to say something controversial. I think that the local healthcare system is on par or if not better than the Singapore healthcare system. So I share this observation with my friends and family, and a lot of people are very curious and some are even very defensive, and they actually challenge me because they really believe that Singapore healthcare is number one. Now, I'm not saying that Singapore healthcare is not good, it's really good too, but other neighboring countries have really caught up over the years. I mean, think about it, if you go to a local hospital in Singapore, most of our nurses are from Malaysia or from the Philippines. So those countries' healthcare system must be doing something right to produce these healthcare talents for us. And because Thailand is also a major producer of generic medication, going to a GP here and getting medicine is actually very cheap, and it only cost me a few dollars. In fact, I was so impressed with the Thai healthcare system that my wife and I decided to give birth to our first child here in Thailand. I made a video about it, and you'll be blown away by how fancy and high-end the entire medical experience of our delivery is. And we paid less than half of what we would have to pay at SGH or at KK. In any case, I still wanted to get medical insurance just to cover for any emergencies. So I got expat insurance, and it cost me about $1,000 to $2,000 a year, and it fully covers inpatient hospitalization for private hospitals here in Thailand. So there you have it. This is my step-by-step plan of how I moved from Singapore to Thailand. It's because I spent my entire life in Singapore and I enjoyed living there, studying there, and working there. But as time goes by, I also feel like I'm a frog inside a well if all my experiences are just based out of Singapore. And for the lack of a better way to describe it, when I was leaving Singapore, I felt like I was leaving a cult. Because growing up, I would always think that Singapore has the best food, the best airport, the best government, the best education, the best healthcare. But now that I've lived abroad, I realized that there are so many different ways to live your life, and my cost of living is much lower, and I'm much happier as well. And I no longer care about what other people think about me. So if you're thinking of moving abroad, even for a few years, I wish you all the best in your new journey. And if you have relocated yourself and have other tips, please share them in the comments below so we can learn from each other. Please check out my other videos, and for now, thank you and take care.